This is the Ben Herman Show.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Ben Herman Show. As always, we always have exciting guests on the show, but this one is I'm particularly very excited about because we are going to chat with someone who is a part of WeddingPro, which includes WeddingWire and the Knot, by the way, Mr. Tom. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Ben.
thanks for being on the show.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I guess I'd love to find out first and foremost, how'd you get started with WeddingWire and the Knot?
Oh, geez, that's a long time ago. So way back in 2008, before that, I was selling phone book ads. Those of you who remember what the phone book actually looks like, right? So when I realized back then, phone books are dying, I better jump into this internet side of the business. And a headhunter found me and I hooked up with the Knot, and I was blessed to get in that side of the business in 2008, and I started working in the Knot. I came in the Knot as a regional sales director, and I managed about 27 states in Canada at the time for many years. Since then, I worked there for 12 years. I was also director of training enablement, director of sales leadership. I left for 2 years after we merged, the Knot and WeddingWire merged, and I helped merge the sales teams on the WeddingWire and the Knot side, which is a really interesting project when you're managing and merging two big sales teams like that into one company. And I did that, and I left for 2 years because I wanted to understand really what it's like to be you on your side of the business. And I had the opportunity to become the COO of 2 wedding venues in Florida.
Nice.
And big luxe wedding venues. I did that for 2 years. Learned a lot. Came back to the Knot, had a few different positions since then, and now I'm director of vendor engagement. So my job really is to travel the country 60 to 70% of the year, forming relationships with associations, large groups, small groups, one-on-ones, still learning from wedding pros all the time, teaching wedding pros how to be successful in their business, and taking that information back of what I'm hearing from wedding pros and how we can improve our products and our systems and our processes, et cetera. So I literally had the best job at the Knot. I'm blessed.
That's great. And so you get to chat with wedding professionals. Is it also I'm assuming mainly wedding professionals, not event professionals? We should clarify that, right? So it's really wedding professionals specifically?
Correct. All categories, all markets across the States and in Canada.
Gotcha.
So, and it's interesting because overall, no matter if you're a DJ, a venue, a calligrapher, everybody has the same goal, right? Mm-hmm. The goal is to attract leads.
Yeah,
the goal is to get a two-way conversation going and book those leads. There's not a lot of differences between categories when you're attracting leads and you're responding to the leads. There's some differences in weddings across the country though in certain markets. Like for instance, in New Orleans, a wedding reception is maybe 4 hours long at most. They never have a sit-down dinner. It is simply a heavy hors d'oeuvre wedding, and wedding venues can do 2 and 3 weddings a day because it's a morning and afternoon wedding. So there's a little market differences, but overall, everybody's after the same clientele.
Yeah. So a couple things. One is that WeddingWire and the Knot are very large companies, right? WeddingPro as well. Then you get to travel all over the country to meet wedding professionals all over. What has been the general consensus from last year to, we're just in the first quarter of this year, right, of 2025. What have you noticed a shift happening in the wedding industry?
Yeah, absolutely. In 2024, I personally call it the perfect storm of weddings, right? Mm-hmm. 3 things have happened. Number one, the Knot does the largest real wedding study in the world. And for the first time ever, the economy came up as a major player for weddings, right? Yeah. Which isn't surprising. The economy is affecting all of us. Absolutely. People are still getting married. Mm-hmm. People are still spending money. There's no doubt about that. Secondly, in 2024, there's sort of been this great wedding number reset. We're at 2 million weddings in 2024, but that's coming off at 2.1 million before that. So we're back to the 2018 number of weddings. Yeah. So wedding pros really they just saw less leads. They saw less bookings. They had to work a little harder too than they had to before. But this other big shift that's happening is this new generation, Gen Z. Mm-hmm. So in 2024, 11% of couples were in the Gen Z age bracket. If anybody's been around a long time in business, no matter what business you're in, you realize every generational shift, you have to adjust your business. Absolutely. or you're gonna be left behind. Yeah. And what I'm seeing is wedding pros across the country, no matter what category, are sort of dragging their feet at that. And at this point, in 2025, 33% are Gen Zs. Mm. So if you could freeze your business today and look back and move 2 years ahead and look back at it, probably had really major changes you should have had major changes and adjustments in your business. Products, marketing, services, pricing, where you're marketing, how you're responding to leads, et cetera, to keep up with this generation. I've seen it before. This generation, they have more information at their fingertips, right? Yeah. It's interesting because on the Knot app, we get 4,000 downloads a day.
Wow.
Of couples planning their wedding. Like, if you haven't downloaded the Knot app, download it to see how these couples are getting the information and finding vendors and doing budget calculators and everything else. So instead of emailing 3 to 5 vendors, they're emailing 5 to 8. So you got to stand out. So that's 2024. 2025, in my opinion, is a reset. It's the exact same thing. The economy, still 2 million weddings, but Gen Z is the big shift.
Yeah.
So keep up with them.
For those of you that are watching and listening to this, some of you may have been in the game for quite a while, right? So for multiple decades, and there's probably there's the similar shift. I actually recall it as well. I am actually on the very cusp of a millennial, where Gen X to millennial was the same kind of shift happened back then, and that same shift is what you're stating is happening
It's
now.
enhanced.
Yeah,
it's enhanced with this generation because of technology alone. Like, it's interesting. Like, I have a group of wedding professional friends across the country, quite a big group, and we're on this big text, and I'm like, hey, let's try this. So a couple months ago, last year I said, let's try doing a video. And do a personal video and include it in your first email blast, in your email that you're following up on a leads, and just say, hey, it's especially for DJ and entertainment, you should be showing your personality. You're the MC. They want to hear your voice, et cetera. And like, getting good results with that, actually. I mean, not in every market yet, but across the board. My bet, if I was a betting man here in Vegas, which I haven't spent a penny yet, but my bet is, in 2 or 3 years, if you're not putting video in your lead replies, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting too, and there's no study on this, but I just by observation, at the Knot WeddingWire, we don't make couples give their phone numbers, but we're getting more phone numbers than ever before in their leads. And it's the Gen Z ones. So if you get a phone number, call it, text it, follow up with it, because it's giving you permission, no matter if it's coming from your website or wherever, call it.
Yeah.
Get yourself out there and let them hear your voice. But I like the video idea. This generation consumes more video than any other generation. So it just makes logical sense.
Yeah.
It makes logical sense to me, video in your industry with entertainment.
Show off the personality, like you mentioned. Yeah.
And another interesting stat, because I'm full of stats, right? It's either 71 or 77%. We'll err on the 71%. The most important things to this group's for their wedding is guest experience. This is right in your wheelhouse. This is right in this Addison wheelhouse. So how are you showing that guest experience? Like, start right from the lead reply. Start right on that video. Talk about it and show them the energy that you have. Connect with them.
Well, Tom, let me shift some gears here. It's something that it has been bubbling up, especially in our DJ community, that I've heard over and over. And I'm assuming you talking to vendors or wedding professionals across this country, you've probably heard something similar, right? Which is that seems to be this consensus of like there may be potentially fake leads possibly on your platform because they sign up for your services or your subscription, right, in hopes to attract qualified leads, and then as they engage with those, they end up getting ghosted.
Right.
What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So it starts with your storefront, right? You sign up on the WeddingWire and you sign up on the Knot, and you have, your storefront. We want you to fill out your storefront. We want you to have photos and videos. We want you to put your About Us page in there. We want you to meet the team. We want you to put, all your social media links. We want you to put your pricing in your pricing range. The more information you put on your storefront, the more qualified leads you're going to get.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people don't fill out their storefronts quite enough. And we prompt, and we're doing things. This year especially, we're going on the road, and we're going to be doing events in Denver and Charlotte, and saying, bring all our advertisers in, let us help you fill out your storefront. So that's the first step,
Gotcha.
Sort of the garbage in, garbage out. If you're not filling out your storefront, and people are searching by price, or people are searching, they can't find
It's
you.
lack
So
of
you're
information.
getting leads, but it might not be the lead that you want. So that's the first step. It's like sort of like your website.
Yeah.
Then to address the fake leads, I promise you, I would not be here this long. There's nobody sitting in corporate hitting a button and sending fake leads. You have to think of it this way. There's 21 million unique visits on the Knot every single month. There's 2.3 million new couples signing up on the Knot every single year. Okay, 2 million weddings. Our site gets the most traffic. Our site is going to get the most leads. We also make it easy for our couples to send you leads. So if they're looking for a DJ in Las Vegas, you know, it brings up the directory, and there's 3 different tiers of advertising: spotlight, featured, and professional, depending on, because you're paying for position there. And then they can narrow it down by type and price and things like that. We're a 2-sided marketplace. So we have to be careful that we are still connecting to our couples, and they see us as value to get those 21 million unique visits. So just like what many wedding professionals are using templates to follow up on their leads, we give the opportunity for the couple to use a template to say, hey, I found you on WeddingWire, and I want more information. So a wedding pro could get that same email template. It looks like it's a spam or a scam. It's not a real couple. It's not. It's real.
Make it
but
more
it's a
convenient
template.
for the
Right,
couple
right.
to contact
So
vendors.
so that's that. Do we have some spam in our? Yes, we're a huge technology company. Everybody's going to have spam. Have we invested millions of dollars and hired teams over the years, including this year and last year, to reduce that? Yes, I'm not hearing the spam question nearly as much as I used to anymore.
Okay.
But we also give the opportunity, if it's spam, there's a little button next to the lead to say, mark it spam. Please tell us that, because then we have a tech team that goes and researches that and moves that email address out.
I see.
So there's some spam. It's not nearly what it used to be. The fake lead situation, all our leads are real, right? There's not a lead that's real. If they found you and you got a lead, they need your product or service. They need you. It might not be the best fit, but you're never going to book 100% of the weddings that you're getting from any particular source.
Yeah.
So I can go on. I always go to this idea of, do you have a lead problem or do you have a booking problem? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So most people have a booking problem. They're getting leads, but they're only following up on one follow-up, and they're not calling, and they're not texting if they have the phone number. And that first follow-up, there's 600 words, and a couple today has an attention span of 12 seconds, which is a little more than a goldfish, which is we're moving up. And then it becomes, the lead's not real, or the leads are ghosting me, or the leads are spam.
Yeah.
No, you got to work the leads. Remember, they're emailing 5 to 8 other DJs when they emailed you. And if this is you in their inbox, what's happening is you're getting buried.
Yeah.
They're not ghosting you. They don't even know you exist anymore. That is the biggest thing that I talk about across the country, and that I've helped hundreds and thousands of wedding pros across the country. In the perfect world in which I live in, I'm not sure what you think as far as follow-up, you should be following up at least 5 to 7 times in 30 days. The more you follow up, the better. And inside that 30 days, emails, and you should be templated after the first one, automatic workflows, you should be calling and texting if they have the phone number at least 3 times.
Yeah.
Then I put them on hold for 10 days. Then I do another series of 5 emails that are more fun and informational situation to touch them again. Then I tell the pros too, you paid for that lead. Somewhere along us, regardless, you paid for that lead. Why don't you have that lead in your marketing database forever?
Yeah.
And you're following up on that lead forever until they unsubscribe. And not as far as the wedding, but as far as the products and services you offer.
Yeah.
I have a DJ up in New York, and he does that, and he does it very, very well. He got his 2 biggest clients from that email sequence of nurturing. They never did the weddings of this couple, but he got Meta, Facebook, huge corporate client for himself, and Johnson & Johnson, because those couples were receiving all these cool things that he does, a photo booth and this and that and that. So like, I'm off on a tangent.
And sometimes it can take 9 months to a year, right? I mean, a follow-up,
absolutely. I mean,
follow-up,
why don't, especially with today's technology, everything's automated. And I can't ask anybody to manually follow up 7 times in 30 days. You have to have the CRM or their software. I don't know what you recommend as far as software, but out there.
We try to stay agnostic, anything that of course has a good auto reply or some sort of automation builder.
It just needs an automation.
Yeah.
So not putting it to rest, I'm just setting the record straight. Is there spam? Yeah, there's spam everywhere.
Yeah.
Have we spent a lot of money, a lot of resource, listened to our wedding pros and talked about how we can reduce it? Yes, and we did reduce it a lot. It's never going to go to zero.
Yeah.
The leads that you think might be fake because it has the canned message, they're not fake. Please take responsibility for yourselves. Follow up on the leads, have a good workflow, and you'll start booking them. I mean, you're not going to book them all, but also know your math.
Right? The average statistic that I've heard is 7 to 12 touches. It used to be 7 back in the day, but now with the busyness of social media, again, attention spans, right? Distractions coming from all places, it's now increased to 12 touches. So like any marketing campaign or follow-up nurturing should at least have 12 various touches in order for a person to get a prospect to be ready, for a purchasing decision.
I've heard, I agree, the more the better.
Yeah.
Before they're even going to send you a lead, they got to see you 4 different places.
You're right. Absolutely.
It gets back to that 3 reasons why people advertise or market: profit, prestige, and protection. Some of it's because they're in business. Sometimes it's all 3 P's. Sometimes it's just profit, prestige, or protection. But regardless, you have to be where the couples are, one way, shape, or form.
Yeah. You're a man of data, right? So I'd love to get into some other metrics and KPIs, but let's talk about some of the highest performing wedding professionals on your platform, WeddingWire or the Knot, that seem to really love the platform because they're just raking in the bookings. What separates those from the ones that are struggling? Is it just pure follow-up? Is that really it?
I think they just run a much better business, right? Absolutely, follow-up is a big part of it.
Yeah.
But their storefronts are complete. Their websites are great because we send a lot of traffic to people's websites that get engaged in there. Their social media. It's not just one thing. You gotta be. It's a combination.
Yeah.
It's a combination of everything. I say all the time, which I know you say too, you can't put all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely.
But that basket that you're putting your eggs in has to be strong and carry all those eggs and really be a complete picture of your business. I think people that struggle or people that do well too really know who their ideal client is. I was talking to a DJ earlier downstairs and at this convention, and he was saying that he's doesn't do anything for less than $5,000, and he's struggling to get that price point. I said, where tell me more, and he goes, well, people want to only spend $1,500, and he's in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is a great market, I looked at our data, I'm like, look, they're spending money here. We looked at his website. His website looked like he was a $650 DJ.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not my fault. It's not my fault. His storefront looked that way too. So you're going to attract those leads. So the people that do the best across the board, they're running a good business. The lead follow-up is obviously extremely important.
Yeah.
But I'm a person of, I want every lead.
Yeah.
Because if somebody found me somewhere, they need my product or service. It's a qualified lead.
Absolutely.
A qualified lead. They found me, they need my service or product. Is it always a quality lead? No, because they might not be pricing or location or whatever. But give me the opportunity for every single lead.
Absolutely. Let's talk about metrics. So what are some metrics that you feel DJs should be paying attention to in regards to really getting this right?
Right. So I always start at the top of this, right? I always call it by make decisions based on facts, not feelings. And I think you say, what do you say?
Data over drama.
Data over drama. So same thing.
Yep.
But I always start at the top, like first figure out what your cost per lead is. Most people don't even know that. It drives me nuts, right? It's an easy metric to figure out. You can even take the last 3 months or a month or 6 months. How many leads did you get? And how much did you put in in your spend and divide that? Now then you get down into, well, what's a good spend? What's a cost per lead is good. It doesn't matter. It's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But when you realize you're spending $30 a lead or $40 a lead or $20 a lead, if that doesn't incent that owner or that owner who has a sales team and goes to the sales team and say, I'm spending $32 on all our leads and we better be following up better.
Yeah.
It takes us down a path of just like excitement.
Yeah.
The next one, the overall arching number is leads to bookings. Another easy number to figure out.
So sales conversion rate?
Sales conversion rate, how many leads over a certain amount of time divided by how many bookings. So what does that number, what's a good number there? Again, that's very personal because my friend in New York, that guy's getting 980 leads a month from across the board, compared to a DJ that's getting 70. But know that number. Why is that number important? Because it helps you forecast. If you don't make any changes for the next rest of the year, and the leads are consistently coming in, you can forecast. Well, if I don't make any changes, I'm gonna book 6% of these. Is that where you want to be? So,
which I think it also it matters between cold versus warm leads as well, right? So highly referred businesses, right? They're gonna have a higher sales conversion rate versus someone who's actually spending money on advertising, where it's a colder traffic sources.
So a referral, you're going to book more.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So in the perfect world, I'd like to see referrals, leads, different, broken out, facts over separately. But let's talk about a cold lead, because you brought that up. A cold lead to me, which nobody does this because you can't, is going down the road and knocking on a door and saying, "Are you going to do weddings? Are you going to get married soon? Do you have a corporate?" That's a cold lead. A warm, every other lead that's coming to you is a warm lead because they found you and they need your service. Now, what's a hot lead? A hot lead is they found you, they need your service, it's a referral, and you're most likely gonna book it. So I don't know, the idea of a cold lead is, even on the Knot WeddingWire, again, we're not forcing people to send people leads. They're a warm lead. It's a qualified lead at that point. So the other number that I like to dig in with when I'm doing one-on-ones or in group sessions, and most people don't do this, is out of the last 10 leads you received, let's say that they weren't referrals. The bucket from website or Instagram or Knot WeddingWire, et cetera. How many of those leads turned into two-way conversations? Okay. Why is that number important? Because it's going to tell you, is my content resonating? Am I following up enough? It's taking us down a path of improvement, or it's taking us down a path of, oh, okay, I'm doing pretty good because I'm getting 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 two-way conversations going. Out of those, the next one is, out of those two-way conversations, how many turn into a sales consultation, right? Because they might have hit reply back, and then you heard never back. So what do you then need to do to improve that, to increase that number? Absolutely. And then obviously sales consultations to bookings. Most wedding pros that I talk to have an idea their sales consultations to booking. They historically think it's a much bigger number than what it is, because they're patting themselves on the back. But when we really dig into it, it's probably not as high as they should. But knowing those numbers, first off, your cost per lead, leads to bookings, leads to two-way conversations, conversations to sales consultation booking. That'll take you down a path that'll change your business. I did a case study with a photographer last year, and she called me. Been in business 11 years. They wanted to do 72 weddings last year. She called me in March of 2024, and she had 7 weddings booked. In business a long time, right? But she hasn't changed anything. So we did the math right in the beginning, and long story short, she did the work. We redid her lead follow-ups and worked on her sales consultation and everything else. She ended up going into 2024 with 34 weddings already, 2025 with 34 weddings already booked.
Nice.
So, and if the math plays right, because we can, and the leads and everything, she should have 92 weddings in 2025. Because we know what her leads to booking percentage is. So I love doing the math. I love, because I have a side hustle. I'm in the wedding business, but I'm also in the death business.
Oh, okay.
So interesting, right?
Very interesting.
But on my side hustle business, I don't make decisions unless I know the math. And sometimes it's a lot of A, B, C, D, E testing. I'm going to do this for 3 weeks. I'm going to do this for 2 weeks, and figure it out. I still make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes.
But making these adjustments, right? These improvements, and by the way, also talk about split testing, right? Each stage, right? How you mentioned from lead to meaningful conversations, from meaningful conversations to the sales consultation, to then a booking, right? If you improve every single one of these stages by just even 5 to 10% on each stage, you have a completely different business at the end of it. Those small adjustments can make a huge improvement.
Huge improvement. That's the great part about my job. I had the best job at the Knot. It's not always the easiest, right? Because what are the 2 things you can't overcome in sales, no matter what you're selling? You can't overcome, I hate to use the word, stupidity, and you can't overcome poverty.
Yeah.
If they just don't want to listen and they don't want to help themselves, I can't do anything. It's like that skill and will situation. If they don't have the will to change, I can't do it. And if they say they don't have the money, I can't change that.
Yeah.
But the people that really want improvement, there's so much free education. Look what you're doing with all your podcasts, in your business. There's so much free education out there.
Yeah.
People need to take responsibility and ask for help. There's people are willing to help.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess, Tom, I'd love to switch gears again and talk about what kind of advice could you give wedding professionals when it comes to the shift that's happening with Gen Z?
Listen to people's webinars, listen to people's podcasts, right? We do studies on trends, what's trends for Gen Z compared to millennials. You got to connect with them. Adjust your website, adjust your blogging, adjust your content on your lead follow-up to connect with them. We know that Gen Z is extremely stressed in planning their wedding. Everybody always has been. Gen Z seems to be a little more stressed. So when you're communicating to them, talk about them to have what a stress-free experience you're going to give to them. Talk about that guest experience you're going to give to them. Talk about the importance of building trust and rapport and being helpful in your email follow-ups and your cadences is extraordinarily important to connect. And test, like this works, this didn't work. Subject lines, test, this worked and this didn't work. I'm not sure if I answered your question with Gen Z, but
no, definitely, absolutely.
It's like we're all still learning, right? We're all still learning with Gen Z. You have to look at a company like WeddingPro, the Knot WeddingWire, like that's who our new audience is. So do we have to shift our own business? Absolutely. Are we taking steps to shift that business? Absolutely, right? Or all of a sudden we're not relevant anymore. We've been, especially the Knot's been around for so long now that, the mother used the Knot, the daughter's using that. It's sort of the rite of passage at this point. Doesn't stop us from still doing all that consumer marketing that we need to continue to do to continue to get that kind of traffic.
Yeah, love that. One thing that I always advise our clients is to avoid concentration risk when it comes to traffic sources. Traffic sources meaning just advertising channels, right? I feel like a majority of our industry, they primarily, it's like clockwork. When I ask them, hey, what's your marketing strategy? 9 times out of 10, they say referrals, word of mouth referrals, right? And that's not, the thing is that we love referrals, absolutely, right? And you should do a great job, provide an amazing customer experience so that way people want to refer you, but it's not predictable, it's not controllable when you want to scale a business, right? And so the other side of it is they only focus on Google search, right?
Yeah, boy, that's hard to only focus on Google search in today's world.
So we need to have multiple marketing channels, right? So for people that are watching and listening to this, how can WeddingPro help their business when it comes to attracting qualified leads?
Well, be an option.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, the best business is referral business. But we know that if you're on a list of a venue, a preferred list of a venue, how often do sales catering people turn around?
Sure.
And they're off the list, a new one comes in and they bring their own DJs and they bring their own photographers. Same thing with planners, right? Like you're on this planner list and eventually that planner retires, that planner sells. You can't put all your eggs in that one basket. You simply need to be an option. Like do the research. Like I'm sure my email is going to be up on this or something, right? Yep. So, email me. We have every statistic by market, by category imaginable, and you can make educated decisions to be an option with us or not be an option with us. If you want to grow your business and you're not an option, that just doesn't make sense to me. Couples are searching on our sites every single day, and you're not an option, and everybody doesn't know you. So there's different levels of advertising. I'm not here to sell you anything, but it also depends on how much you want to grow. If you want a lot of leads, you want to get on the top spot, or you want to get on the first page under that, or you're getting on the second page. But also do your research. Like see what competitors are there, and see what competitors aren't there.
Yeah,
one way or shape or form. But the reviews, the Knot WeddingWire has more reviews than any other wedding websites, any wedding place in the world, right? That's where people leave reviews. That's where people go to get reviews. And they're looking for a review and they don't see you. You lost that option.
Gotcha. I guess, how do people get in contact with you? How do they find out more about WeddingPro for their business?
Well, get on WeddingPro. WeddingPro is the brand that encompasses all wedding professionals across the country. So that's just like for wedding professionals.
Yeah.
The Knot WeddingWire is the brand on the consumer-facing brand. So it's a little confusing, but follow WeddingPro on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Shoot me an email. Always email WeddingPro support. I want to help. We want to help.
Yeah.
You know, and if we can just, you know, help a little bit, at least within my job. At this point in my career, I just want to help. I'm not looking to build a resume, I'm not going to build a career. I believe in this company. I believe in this product because I see it works, but it works for people who take responsibility for themselves and their actions. You can't just throw money at something and not follow up and pray it works. So whatever. We have a whole team of people that can help and share information. And with this opportunity and getting us out there and giving me the opportunity to dispel some of the rumors, or we're not the perfect company in the world, but we're pretty darn good at what we do.
Yeah. And you didn't throw out your social media handles or website URL. Do you want to do that as well, real quick?
WeddingPro.com.
Yeah.
Follow WeddingPro on Instagram. My Instagram is Tom_Chelednik. Not that that's
awesome.
Not that that's attached to WeddingPro, but I need followers.
There you go. I love that. Love that.
So
cool. And we'll put all that stuff in the show notes as well.
Okay.
And then what would you say for a person that's watching this? Because we did talk about, the fake leads issue. Maybe someone has walked away from WeddingPro, but after hearing this, they might be interested and intrigued of giving you guys another shot. Where should we direct them to?
Direct them to me.
Okay. Yeah.
Direct them to me, and at least I will have, if I have the opportunity to talk to them one-on-one, which I try quite a bit to do that, or I will get them to the right person to talk to.
Awesome.
And we will get you the pertinent information so you can make an educated decision if it's a good fit for you.
Awesome. And how they contact you directly? Probably not through your social media, right?
Through email, which is tchelednik, thenotww.com.
Okay, perfect. And again, we'll just put it in the show notes so that way people could just copy and paste it into their email composer. Awesome. Well, Tom, thank you so much for the time and really clearing things up. I really appreciate the conversation.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
Yeah.